Hey, Pontiac City. Please join in for a second while we discuss the importance of reading.
Before you get too much anxiety,
Don't worry, I'm not giving you a reading assignment.
the City of Pontiac wants to make sure all of our citizens are encouraged to take on reading in their own way and on their own time.
Reading can be intimidating and seems like a slow process, but reading is a key component of education.
And professional development. And reading holds the power to open up so many doors to new worlds and possibilities. You learn everything you've learned so far by reading, so it's not a time to stop now.
I recall back when I was a young man and growing up in rural Alabama, didn't have a whole lot to do. I enjoyed reading. It seemed to just allow me the opportunity to go to some places that I thought I'd never get to visit and experience life that I thought I'd never get to experience. I usually read mostly biographies of people like George Washington Carver. I read some books on Thurgood Marshall, some of the sports books. I read books on Willie Mays. I read books on all of the sports people of the time who had biographies out. It was just a good opportunity for me to see how they did it so that I could emulate what they did.
My favorite reading moment has to be actually learning about Langston Hughes. And it was a poem called Life of Me Hasn't Been, from Mother to Son. I went to Bethune Elementary, and Miss Fairley and Miss Campbell and Mr. Barry Rubin, who was my elementary school principal, made me recite the poem Mother to Son. And it made me realize the power of words and the power of poetry. And then in third grade, my other favorite memory is Mr. Wiegand. Mr. Wiegand exposed me to Shel Silverstein. There's a book called Where the Sidewalk Ends. And then as I got older, I learned about the book called The Gibbon Tree. And so much that this book is so inspiring that when my daughter went to college, I gave her a copy of The Gibbon Tree. It is a fundamental foundation for anyone who's trying to travel the world, to see different things, and to understand all the places you will go.
My favorite book of all time, having gone through all that I've gone through, I would say is the Bible. Obviously, I'm a preacher, been a preacher for 30 years, but as I've gone, even when I was a young man, the Bible encouraged me. My mother and father was very spiritual, and they taught us to be mindful of God. And so I would say the greatest book of all time for me has been the Bible. It has encouraged me, it has uplifted me, it has consoled me, it has blessed me, it has kept me, and it has given me some things that no matter what happened in life, I was able to go back and learn and do and how to do better. So the Bible for me is the best book of all time.
So my favorite book has to be Sula by Toni Morrison. It was an assignment that Lorraine Phillips gave us to discover Black authors, and the Sula book was so relatable to me because at the time I was going through a lot of the things she went through within the book. The character did, and it taught me that at the end of the day, you can survive tragedy, hurt, despair, because there's always hope when you find your foundation. And in the Black community, our foundation is our ancestors and family and knowing one's worth. So Sula has to be one of my favorite books.
And so one of the best books I read, though, that I really didn't think would influence me as much as it did, was I read The Godfather. My sister had it. I wasn't supposed to read it, but I snuck and read The Godfather. And as I read The Godfather, and as I've grown and learned, I can relate back to that book and put a lot of things in context of how that book went. And so my favorite book of all time probably was The Godfather, although they made it into a movie. I thought they cheated themselves on the movie, but I really did enjoy that book because I refer to it sometimes as I go through everyday life, even now. I refer to how the makings and the machinations of that book fits into everyday life.
My book in my bag this week is none other than Miss Jennifer Lewis, Walking in My Joy in the Streets. Honey, she is the Black mother of Hollywood. Get into it. And the reason why I love Jennifer Lewis is she is an ambassador of mental health and mental illness and therapy and all the things that you always hear me talking about. And she also is someone who deals with depression and deals with the mental illness as I do. And so when you find someone who's going to advocate on that level, this could have destroyed her career. And instead, she embodied it, she empowered herself, and she gave us the tools to literally live our truth, because mental illness is not a stigmatism, and it's not a death sentence. So that is why I'm reading this book this week, because I love Jennifer Lewis.
Right now, I'm reading this book, The Kingdom Agenda. Tony Evans, The Kingdom Man. Tony Evans, The Kingdom Man, in addition to T.D. Jakes' Reposition Yourself, because they're all good books in regards to finding out where we fit and how we fit and what we're supposed to be doing. As the world keeps giving us lemons, how do we make lemonade? As the world keeps telling us we don't matter, how do we let people know, yes, we are significant, yes, we are unique, and yes, we are not going to be denied, and yes, we're going to do it respectfully, and yes, we're going to do it with honor and integrity, but make no mistake, we are here, we're not going anywhere, and we do matter.
Reading gave me freedom. My father was dyslexic, is dyslexic, and several family members. So my father never knew how to read, and he would sign his name with an X. And when I was younger, they thought I was going to have a learning delay. And my mother got me in speech classes for S's and R's. And so I had to learn how to say S and R's. And it taught me how to read and pronunciate my words, particularly important. And so when I got of age, from the age of fourth all the way to when I went to fourth grade to when I, not age, but the grade, from fourth grade all the way to when I went to college, I read my way through trouble. I read my way through hardship. I read my way through dysfunction. I read my way to freedom. Reading has been the core of my life, so much that if you pick up one of my bags, literally, there's always a book in it. And so I carry books with me, around me, because books are my escapism, and they also give me freedom.
Books play a major role in where we are right now and our development as a people, because it's easy, and sometimes when we talk, just you get it just by conversation, a lot of the essence and the nuances of it gets lost. But when you can go back and look at it, it's like reading. You can read a paragraph today and go back tomorrow, and it may read different to you because you've grown a little bit. And so reading allows us the opportunity to, even in the moment, to grow to a different level and take what we know to a different level. Reading is certainly, as often said, reading is fundamental to our character development, our professional development, our spiritual development, and certainly our overall growth as human beings and as people of the world, and understanding that how we are interconnected, and each and every one of us affect each and every one of us individually and collectively.
So I just want to say to everyone in the city of Pontiac that reading is fundamental. Reading can also be a challenge, but it can be a blessing. And there's always support staff and support programs located in the city of Pontiac to help you better learn how to read and better comprehend. So happy Reading Month, because March is Reading Month. It's your favorite Councilwoman, Melanie Rutherford from District 1. Have a great one.
Happy National Reading Month.